that was quite fun, wasn't it? Spurs 2, Borussia Dortmund 0. Fourth in the Champions League. The only team to have not conceded a goal at home in the whole entire league phase so far. Back? Are we back? I mean, let's not get carried away. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We will talk about what this means for Thomas Frank later in the video. But I want to talk about the game. I want to talk about the performance. I've just got home. I'm wet. I'm cold. I've got my cup of tea. I'm not in my usual setup because my office is in my bedroom and the girlfriend's asleep, so I don't want to wake her up. So let's talk about Tottenham in here, in the living room. Cosy environment, right? To talk about what was a fun game of football. I thought Spurs started really well in the first half. It's the sort of performance that we've been wanting to see, but to be fair, I think has been a bit of a consistent theme in the Champions League so far this season. If you are new to the channel, by the way, please make sure to subscribe. Thank you for all the support on the videos. Recently, a lot more to come. Obviously, make sure to like the video as well. But yeah, Spurs came out the traps well, started well in the first half. We had 11 attempts on goal, 3 shots on target, 62% possession. Get the early goal from a bit of pressure from a set piece. Romero finished it well, and then I think we just totally took control after that and took them apart, really. I thought Odobert and Porro down that right-hand side were really good, getting in behind, combining with each other. Odobert looked a lot more confident tonight. The setup obviously was a bit of a strange one because of the players that we've got missing at the moment, whether that's down to injury, ineligibility, or suspension. So obviously it was carded as kind of a 4-2-3-1 on paper, but Spurs were kind of setting up in a back three at times, or a back four in possession with a Doggy as a left back, but with Spence kind of pushing on, but defending almost in a 5, with the Doggy kind of as a left-sided centre half. I thought Doggy, by the way, was brilliant tonight. I think he's such a floor raiser for this team. Like, when he's at his best, his engine, his ability to get up and down. I thought his reading of the game defensively was really good tonight, kind of chipping in with a couple of really big interceptions and blocks, and he was just really, really good, like really good. And then it was obviously Bergvall and Gray ahead in the pivot, Simons off the left, Odobert out on the right-hand side, and Dom Solanke through the middle. And let's start with Dom Solanke, actually, because I was very vocal online yesterday about Thomas Frank's decision to take Matis Tel out of the Champions League squad to bring Dominic Solanke back in. And I think I was in the majority there. That's not to say that the majority weren't happy to see him put in a really good performance and a goal tonight. I say really good. He was decent, Dom Solanke, and I'm really pleased for him that in his first start back he got on the score sheet. Wasn't the most convincing finish in the world, was it? Kind of off both of his feet, a bit of a clumsy, or a bit of a one, but you take it as a striker. And I think with Dom Solanke, right, and again it's clear that, and this was one of the frustrations that I had about him being included back in the squad, was that I don't think he's, in the last couple of games, he's not shown yet that he's back up to, I think, fitness levels required or ability to start games, that kind of sharpness. But I think that was there for him tonight. So Frank's decision was vindicated. I'm still upset that Tel was obviously left out, but you know, we've got a decent amount of minutes into Solanke and he has scored a goal. So, you know what, fair play. And I think he's just, again, it's a bit like when a Doggy's at his best, or even just when we kind of have a Doggy back in the team, like for a bit, the floor just does go up. And I think with Solanke, like, we have missed him a hell of a lot. And I think even if you're not a massive Dominic Solanke guy because you think he might not be the most clinical or whatever, and I do get that. I think Spurs need to look at their striker situation in the summer and, you know, assess in terms of where we go from there. There's no real reliable, consistent goal scorer over the course of a season. I think Richarlison's a really good. He is good in terms of his box presence, in terms of finding space, getting under crosses and stuff like that. But again, he lacks so much in terms of other aspects of his game. And then there's Kolo Muani, who that might have been one of the worst substitute cameo appearances I've seen. The first action he did, he picked up the ball from deep and then ran into the space. It was like, oh, here we go. And then he kind of got blocked off in the box. That one-on-one that he had, like, I think he just got a bit spooked that the keeper stayed on his line. And then there was a couple of other things as well. Like when the ball, I think Xavi played the ball in over the top, and he just gave up on it, even though it might have been off, but it was very marginal. And then let Spence go and get it. It was a bit like, oh, come on, mate, at least act like you want to be here. And then there's obviously Solanke, who got on the score sheet tonight. I just think he brings the level of the team up quite a significant chunk with his hold-up play, link-up play. Everything's a lot more clean. There's still a long way to go in terms of the clinical side of his game and his finishing and stuff like that, but yeah, there's still so much to like about him. And I think he brings Xavi into it a lot as well. And I think Xavi was good tonight. I think Xavi, he needs to find his radar in terms of his shooting. That's one thing. He obviously had that really nice little jinking run in the second half where he forced the keeper into a save. But he had a few shots from outside the box. It was way off the radar. And bear in mind, that was something that he did obviously well at Leipzig last year, and in kind of years gone by, and against England as well in the Euros for Holland. I think once he finds that radar, even against Aston Villa, he had a few shots from outside the box that forced saves from the goalkeeper. But still, just want to see slight bit more conviction. But I thought he was good tonight. I thought his intensity, his attitude is something that's really, really infectious. I think he showed a lot of quality on the ball, his willingness to get it in different spaces. I think having Graham Bergvall behind him, just a bit more progressive, means that he sees a lot more of the ball, which is what we want from your number 10, isn't it? Played a lovely little disguise through ball to, was it Porro? In the first half down the channel. I'm going to do a breakdown of the game tomorrow. I'm going to watch it back. It'd be nice to actually do one of these after we've won a game. Oh, sorry, I don't know what is going on my trim. It's been wet and it's raining. That's why I hate it so much. I ended up looking like a cartoon character there. But yeah, Xavi threaded a lovely couple of through balls through, was knitting things together really nicely. He was winning the ball back with great intent in that first half as well, which was really good. Sorry, my dog I think is trying to get in there. Sorry about that. Yeah. I think the way that he was winning the ball back, kind of snapping into tackles, really good attitude, really good intensity. As I said, it still needs to click together in the final third a little bit for him in terms of, his finishing and those kind of things. But again, it was just a good performance from him. Again, in the Champions League. Odobert, good as well. Really, just a bit more bravery about him. And I think there's something in these Champions League games that I know the opposition hasn't been that great, but we just do, the proof's in the pudding. We've won every single game at home in the Champions League. We've not conceded a goal. We put 4 past Copenhagen, 3 past Slavia Prague, 2 past Dortmund tonight. Obviously, 1 past Villarreal, which was probably the least convincing performance. But we've seen more free-flowing football in the last 3 games at home in the Champions League than we've seen in any league game so far this season. But before I come on and talk about that and why that might be, and Thomas Frank and stuff, I also want to shout out Kevin Danso, because Kevin Danso is a player that I think I love him as a squad player, and I love him as a character and having him around. There's been certain games where I'm like, I'm not sure how much I'm having him necessarily, but Big Kev is a super player, super squad player, and I think it was really good tonight. Played on the right hand side, Romero played on the left. Again, I love how Romero led the team tonight. But Danto was really good stepping in, so fair play to him. Porro was much better tonight as well. But with these Champions League games, it's funny, right? Because it's almost like in the Champions League, teams don't show us as much respect and kind of come at us. I don't think Dortmund came flying out of traps necessarily, but there was a lot of space for us to kind of play in. And I don't know whether that's it's obviously not a preparation thing. It's obviously not them knowing our weaknesses or anything like that. Or I don't know. I think teams are just fancy it when they come here and they go for it. Slavia Prague pressed us really high. I remember doing a video after the game saying, if you play like this against Thomas Frank's Tottenham, it was off the back of the Brentford game where they tried to kind of press high as well. And Spurs can play through that when there's space to do so. But when the onus is on us to take the initiative, then that's where Thomas Frank really struggles, being the manager kind of punching down. Whereas in the Champions League games, not so much necessarily tonight. I think Dortmund was just really poor, but we did start well from early and kind of go at the game with a lot more intensity and aggression that's been so lacking in the Premier League games. But generally speaking, in the Champions League games, Copenhagen kind of had a go at us. They pressed us high. Slavia Prague did as well, and Dortmund not so much tonight, but they still left a lot of space. And again, they just don't really. Dortmund didn't have a whole. To be fair, Dortmund didn't have a shot tonight. They were really bad, and obviously the sending off early into the game kind of kills it a little bit. And we were able to keep them at bay in that second half, which I'll come on to as well. But I don't really know. I don't really know how to feel about it, because teams just don't seem to show us as, maybe respect is the wrong word. But teams in the Premier League will kind of come back, sit in. But then we sit off a lot of teams in the Prem at home as well, like against West Ham, the way that we defended out of possession and kind of invited them onto us. And I think Frank is so much more worried about what the opposition are going to do in these games in the Premier League than in the Champions League. They just feel, for whatever reason, whether it's the club's feeling that they can come and have a go at us, or whether it is just a different approach and mindset from the manager, I don't know. But they seem to play with a lot more freedom in the Champions League, and I think the proof has been in the pudding with the results, but also in terms of how you've come away enjoying the games. And now look, when you look at the table, Spurs have now played 3 of the bottom. Well, sorry, that's not true. 2 of the bottom 4 with Eintracht Frankfurt to play next week. And if we beat them, then top eight's guaranteed, which is really crazy. And to be honest, we could do without the extra 2 games. So that'd be brilliant. But yeah, it's a strange one that I can't quite work out. Please let me know in the comments what you think it is with the difference in the Champions League games. These teams aren't great. Like, they're not great. Even Borussia Dortmund, like 11 points in the Champions League, only 3 points behind us, could have gone above us obviously tonight if they'd have beaten us. They're not great. I don't know what it is. But whether it's they come onto us and we can just exploit that a bit more, or whether it's the players just feel like they've got a bit more freedom, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Now, what does this mean for Thomas Frank? Now, the second half, just quickly as well, I really enjoyed the first half. It was good football, good free-flowing football. We were 2-0 up, controlling the game against 10 men. And I think this is where Thomas Frank has got to learn as well, that you can control or try and control the game of football in the opposition's half, because we were kind of sitting back. And you could say it's good game management, but we were sitting back and they were getting set pieces. We dealt with them quite well, but if one of those goals goes in, they do get that bit of impetus. Then you know what it's like at Tottenham. We're in the madhouse, and we were potentially asking for trouble with the way that we set up. I think we could have maybe controlled the game a little bit better by playing higher up in the opposition's half. I'm not saying that we need to press them like maniacs or anything, but just keep the ball ticking over like we were at the end towards the end of the second half. And maybe that was an instructional thing to sit back and invite them on, but it could have backfired. And I don't want to be too critical of Frank tonight, obviously, after a good performance and a win like that. But yeah, it was a little bit... they didn't really trouble us, but it could have gone differently. And I think he's got to learn, if he wants to scale up as a manager at this level, that you can control the game in a different way. And we can just play the ball around in their half, still look to kind of create chances and kill them off. Then that means that we can then bring some of the younger players on that deserve this experience. Again, builds that connection back with the fans. And to be fair, like, we missed chances in that second half as well, when the game became a little bit more open. Last, it's actually when Kolo Muani came on, to be fair, the game just opened up again a little bit more, and we should have just buried them then. So we did have chances. To be fair to Frank, like, the Simons maybe more ruthless with a couple, Kolo Muani definitely more ruthless with a couple, Pedro Porro definitely more ruthless with the one that he had as well. But yeah, not many complaints on that aspect, but I would like to see us control the game a bit more with the ball, because I think if we look at the possession, maybe I'm wrong, but look at the possession. Second half, yeah, I mean, we conceded more possession. They had 55% of the ball in the second half. And maybe that's because we're conserving energy, tired legs, and a packed fixture schedule where we've got a lot of injuries at the moment. Maybe I'm being too cruel, but I still think that is a flaw in Frank's game of not being able to control games as much with the ball, I guess, and playing in the opposition half. I mean, what does it mean for Frank? Look, tonight was a good result. It was a good performance. We're in a good place in the Champions League. But I think for kind of the reasons that I've said, and the issue, we haven't faced the same issues in the Champions League that we've consistently faced in the league, that Frank has consistently failed to kind of problem solve. So if I'm the board, this game, if you wanted him gone, I don't think this game really influences my decision that much, to be honest. Maybe that's unfair, but I think the issues in the league, I'm still not convinced. Like, tonight doesn't really... Other than just, it's a good win and a chance to build momentum. We've had those before and we've not really taken them. I'm not really taking too much from tonight into what we can maybe build in the league, because we're facing a lot of different issues. We're not being as proactive in the way that we play. And Frank has, had a chance to build momentum off Champions League games in the past, where we have played with in a bit more an open manner. And then it's just not really followed up. And we've faced issues against teams that sit in against us. And Frank doesn't know how to be that kind of dominant force. And we end up getting ourselves into trouble. And at the end of the day, when your job is on the line like this, because we're not going to win the Champions League, let's face it. The league is your bread and butter, isn't it? And I just think there's been too many red flags in terms of the management of the league in those games to still want to persist with him. But they're not going to get rid of him. He's going to be in charge for Burnley. I'd very much imagine. I'd be shocked if they woke up and sacked him, even though they're still very much in doubt over whether he's the guy to kind of take us forward, apparently, and divide at board level. I just don't think tonight necessarily does enough for me to say that, yeah, let's push on, let's carry on, because the Champions League has been so different to what we've seen in the league, right? And it's not like we're going to go and win this competition. League stability, I think, for us in this moment, it's not like last year where we had a clear opportunity to win that European Cup. And look, maybe that's me not being ambitious enough. Maybe we could win the Champions League. I very much doubt it. But yeah, I think I'm not sure. I think the board will look at those Champions League results and performances on face value without taking into context what has happened in the league and kind of want to give him time off the back of that in terms of what's been a turbulent week. So I don't know. I think it means it will still be in charge for Burnley. That is the acid test. Can we go there and put in a performance and win and kind of just breathe a little bit easier in terms of looking down behind us and use it as a platform to kick on? But again, we've had platforms to kick on in leagues and we've just in league games and we've not done it. I still feel like the players aren't really having him that much. I still feel like Frank knows that connection with the fans is been broken a little bit. Like even at the end of the game, I was watching him. He didn't go over to the South Stand. He kind of a little bit of applause and walked off. It was the players that were getting and lapping up the reception. And even Romero's kind of celebration for the goal and all that kind of stuff. It was like, we're together, but not sure about the manager. Maybe I'm reading too much into that again. I don't know. But yeah, I'm not sure it changes too much for me tonight. But I'm happy. We played well. It was entertaining for 45 minutes at least. Some good individual performances. And yeah, we've got a good chance of finishing in the top 8 now, which is obviously a positive. But still obviously have concerns about how we move forward. What does it mean now we've won? Does that undermine their potential decision to want to sack? Honestly, it's still such a mess and still so confusing. And I still think there are big problems with Frank that I don't think tonight does anything really to put at ease, despite the fact that it was enjoyable, because the issues have come in the league. And that where we are right now is far more important than the Champions League. So, yeah, we'll see. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'll do a bit more of a breakdown tomorrow. Any other Spurs news drops tomorrow as well. You'll see it on here and see it on my TikTok page. Go and follow me over there. Thanks for all the support recently on the march to 20k. So if you could subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. And I'll see you in the next video. Up the Spurs.